It's almost February. February is the coldest month in my northern location, and my van doesn't have any heat. So let's figure this out. Let me qualify that statement. Every now and then I get heat, and I get good heat, which means the heater core is not plugged. The blower motor works. You turn the knob, speeds go up and down. The knob that selects between like defrost, feet, and that works because you get air moving up when you put it on, defrost, you get air going down when you're pointing your feet. That works. So there's only one thing that I'm aware of that it could be. Oh, plugged heater core. Don't think so, because every now and then you get good heat. It's the heater control valve. Now in older models of the GMC Safari and Astro, it was literally right there, and you could get to it. Unfortunately now, it's down under there. So I've got to get into it, open this all up, and get that valve out. Now this is not a how-to video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work for a bit, and I'll bring you in and give you a recap, and then work a little more and bring you in, give you a little recap. So with that being said, let's get to work. Let me show you where the heater control valve is on one of these. That's it, right there. One of my concerns was that possibly it was just this vacuum line was broken or split, and you can't inspect it. I mean, you can inspect it till about there. It appears to be okay. So anyway, there it is, and now I got to get it out of there. Getting these guys off is going to be an issue because they haven't been off since 1997. But let me get to work. Okay, I got the heater control valve out, and it's pretty simple. Basically, fluid comes in, and when you need heat, a vacuum is applied here, which sucks this down, which diverts it, and it goes a different way through your heater core. So the question is, does this work or not? Well, I hooked it up to my vacuum tester here, my broken vacuum tester, and if you watch the plunger, see how it goes down? I release the vacuum, it goes back up. Okay, so I'm going to do it a couple times just in case I don't get it. There you go. There's a vacuum. It's diverting the flow, and now it's back to normal. This would be bypass. What this does, this allows, so you're not, when you're running the air conditioner, you're not putting a bunch of heat in the cabin via the heater core. So this here diverts it and sends it right back. But this heater control valve is good. Now, one thing I did notice when I was taking it off, this nipple right here when I pulled the vacuum line off, remember I said, well, it could be the vacuum line. It was on, but it wasn't tight. You know, it wasn't like on there. So the only time you need this is when it's really cold, and as you know, when it gets really cold, things shrinkage. And what I'm thinking is that it was leaking just enough around there that it didn't create a good vacuum. So what I'm going to do is, I can't start it because I got the cooling system open, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all back together, but I'm going to put some rubber cement, some contact cement around that, let it set up, and then when I go to put it together, I'll put just a little bit on the nipple that goes on there, and that should take care of it. And then I'll test it. Let's see if that works. Okay, I got the heater control valve replaced, and it's running again, which means I didn't screw something up, which is a good thing. I'm not a mechanic. Now, in the earlier part of this video, I said I was going to use contact cement. I did use contact cement. You might think, well, that's kind of weird. The way contact cement works is you put some here, you put some here, you put it together, and it sticks. You've got the nipple part of the control valve sticking out like this, and you got the hose part that comes over like this. This sits in a ring on the bottom. What I did is I put glue on the ring on the bottom, and I put glue on the outside of this, so I didn't get any in the middle of it in the airline. And I just stuck it in there, and again, the way contact cement works, you put some here, you put some here. When you put it together, it's done. No setup time, there's no working time for contact cement. Anyway, we're getting bubbles here, which is good. Once I get this all fixed, I've got the heater running. We'll see if we start making some heat. Well, bad news. That didn't fix it. Still not blowing hot air. One thing I did notice, right up in here, is where the hoses for the heater core go, and I'll show you here in just a minute. The bottom one is hot, okay, and the top one is cold. Clogged heater core. I dismissed that initially because sometimes I would get heat, and sometimes I wouldn't. So maybe there's just some crap in there floating around. I don't know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drain the coolant again. I have to let it cool down. Drain the coolant again. These are really easy to get to, so I'll pop them off. and see if I can blow through there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, it's these hoses right here. So this top hose here it's room temperature, but the bottom hose, I don't know if you can see it down there, that bottom hose down here, that's hot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it cool down, I'm gonna drain the fluids again, and then I'm gonna pop those off and check it. So I'll be back. Well, it's the next day, and I'm gonna do a little recap, let you know where I'm at. Okay, the van has no heat. Sometimes it has heat, sometimes it doesn't. The major components of the system. You've got a knob inside that determines hot or cold. You've got a control valve, you've got a heater core, and you've got a blend door that opens and closes that determines how much hot air and cold air gets blended together. Heater control valve, took it out, tested it, works fine. The core, on the heater core, I pulled those hoses off, I ran air through it, perfectly clear. And my concern on that was, let me back up a little bit. Why did I go to the heater control valve? Typically that's your first failure point. You run it, it's in a harsh environment, and you got this valve that's constantly opening and closing. And so that's a high failure rate. That one looks like it's already been replaced. Heater core, why did I check the heater core next? They get plugged and you lose heat, okay? No flow, no heat. I checked it, plenty of flow through there. My concern was it was hot, one hose was hot and the other hose was not. Well, that's the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to dump the heat in the cab. So, what we're down to now is that control knob on top that opens and closes the blend actuator. Notice the pause in my voice. Getting to the blend actuator door and the blend actuator, I have to take the engine cover off the inside, called the doghouse. I got to pull the doghouse out. If I'm going to do that, the passenger front seat needs some work on it. So I'm going to take the passenger front seat out. I'm going to take the doghouse out, and what that will do, that will allow me to get access to where the blend actuator is. Now, I was testing it this morning, and I go in and I turn that knob, and I don't hear anything. I don't hear, I think it's an electric motor in there with a bunch of gears and stuff, and you should hear it opening and closing, and it doesn't. If it were vacuum operated, I don't hear anything. When you turn that knob, I don't hear anything. So let me get in, dig all this stuff out, and I'll bring you back, and hopefully we'll find a problem, because so far everything's working good. So anyway, let's get to work. try to give you a view of where the blend door actuator is. And there it is. Get some light on it for you. So now you can see why I had to get the engine cover off. It's this guy right there with the label on it, that guy right there. So I've got the key on. See if I can keep some light up in here. I don't have all the fancy equipment to do this stuff, but anyway, okay, there it is. I've got the key on, and I'm turning the knob here for the heat control. So that should be turning, and it's not. So the question is it the actuator or is it the control knob up here? I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and pull the actuator off and open it up and look inside, and we'll see what it looks like inside. Here you go. This is the blend door actuator. It was held in place by 2 screws into plastic. They came right out. The connector here, it just popped right off. What I want to do now is open it up and take a look inside. I tried again with the key on to get this thing to move, and well, it didn't move. So it's this or the switch. So let's take a look and see what this looks like inside. Hopefully it doesn't all fly apart. If it does, it does. There we go. Just a tiny little motor. So in theory, if you put voltage to this, it should turn. I don't see anything burnt. I don't see anything broken. But that's it. Does not want to turn. Well, that didn't sound good. Hate to just run out and buy one and throw it in and find out it wasn't the problem. I guess the next thing to do would be to see if I got voltage coming to this thing. The problem with that is I'm really not set up for it. I mean, I got a DC meter, but I don't have schematics. I don't have pinouts. So let me think about this. This is why this is called the Let's Figure This Out channel, not the I Know What I'm Doing channel. Okay, this is my setup. I went and I found a wiring diagram, and on this wiring diagram you've got your main power coming in from here on fuse 12, a 30 amp fuse. I verified it there. I went out front, checked it, it's good. I came in here. This is the connector that the actuator plugs into. That's the plug right there. You've got your power coming in here. You've got a ground here. Then you've got a variable ground here that does the actual adjusting. So the first thing I want to check is to make sure we have power and grounds, and I'm set up. I just use paper clips in here. I don't have the high-tech stuff to do this. And when you turn the key on, there you go. So that's good. Another test I did, and I'm not going to show you because I only have two hands, but what I did is I put it between 7 and 8, which is right here, which is this variable, and I had this on resistance, and when I did that, you could actually see the resistance changed as I turned the knob up here. So according to everything I'm seeing here, we've got power, we've got ground, and the signal, which will be coming off this the variable resistor here, we've got that too. So as far as I can tell, this guy doesn't work. I could plug it in and try to make it work and see what happens, but I could also blow it up too. So anyway, let me get one of these parts on order, and hopefully that solves it. Okay, I just wanted to give you a quick update. I went and cleaned the contacts, took it apart, cleaned up all the gears, put it back together, and I think it works. So I'm going to turn the key on. And then now I'm going to adjust the... And there it goes. It's moving. Turn it, goes back the other way. Perfect. Okay, so there's the fix. It was dirty contacts on the blend door actuator. Did we get there from the very first? No. We had to go through a few iterations, but in the end we got it solved, and it didn't cost us any money. So perfect. Thanks for watching.